The mighty emu, pinnacle of evolution and terror of the West. Western Australia, to be precise. The Emu War of 1932. Wargame rules by 2D6 Wargaming. Hey, it's a historical miniatures wargame. We should probably start by bringing a very boring British historian on the channel to explain why the heroes of your culture whom you revere were really very bad people, and the people they fought were really good people. But you get enough of that literally everywhere. We're going to have a little bit of fun with this seldom wargamed little niche of our collective Western civilization. This, of course, was an episode where the government thought it would be great to bring in a bunch of imports. Didn't really fit with the climate, with the people of the area. They overran the place, and the only way to try to solve it was with great deals of violence. And it didn't work out too well. I feel like there may be a metaphor there, but, if I say any more, I might get kicked off of YouTube. So instead, I'm going to tell you, 2d6wargaming.com did not sponsor this. I apologize if their association with my channel causes them any distress. They don't just make fun little emu miniatures in 6mm. They have a wide range of 6mm figures, including, as you can see here, Dark Ages, World War II, the Rhodesian War. Speaking of the people you're told are the bad guys are really the good guys. How about that? But enough about that. Let's talk about the Emu War. For those who don't know, in 1932, the Emu War was a war of total annihilation fueled by sheer hatred. It is often considered one of the greatest threats Australia ever faced, with the emu wandering around everywhere they pleased, breeding uncontrollably, and crapping all over everything. In 1932, humans and emu were on a collision course for total annihilation. So they brought out some machine guns and thought, we'll just round them up and shoot them all, and it didn't work out so great. Now, this is a fun game. There's a really interesting little exercise here, and we're going to play it as a solo game. We're going to go through it. But before we do it, let me just show you how good the quality of these figures are. And for those new to the channel, I should warn you that I have been half blind for over a year. With a workman's comp injury. So instead of the more traditional historical colors, half blind, broken fingers, I'm a hot mess. What can I tell you? In order to get these done and get them on the table, I've had them for like over a year now. I went with Force Red and Force Blue. So over here on the left, we've got Force Blue. These are a couple of Maxim guns. You can see the little tripod, a little lieutenant back there calling the shots. Look how good these look. A lot of detail, man. If you're into six... Okay, so this was a bit of a miscast. Here's a better one. Look at this guy, right? So there you can see the guy feeding the belt in there. Just amazing for 6mm figures. So Force Blue, and of course our Emu are going to be Force Red. Those should show up really well on camera. It's about $25 for this entire game, and although it is a bit of a humorous lark, there's a really interesting game buried in here. It's not buried. It's actually not buried. It's right there at the surface. So let's take a look at how this works. I'm going to set up a kind of dry savanna, suitable for Western ranch lands. Western Australia, of course, I mean the other West Coast. You drop your emu in the center of the table, as you see here, and then pick a table edge for your machine guns. I have gone with the edge opposite the camera for ease of reference. Now, in the rules as written, you should put 3 to 5 emu per stand. I've got 5 to 9 on my stand, so each of these stands actually counts as 2 stands. The way the game is going to work, our machine guns are going to open fire, and every time they hit, they break this in half. Then, once it gets reduced to a single stand, a hit will cause a wound, and a second hit will cause it to die. Normally, you would have more stands, and you'd have to break them all up into singles, and then target them, but it's fine. So the way you shoot is you roll 2d6 for each of your machine guns, and on any doubles, you hit, except if it's a double 1, in which case, just take the machine gun off. It's jammed and it's useless for the rest of the scenario. You don't have to worry about range. I've added a little wrinkle in the form of line of sight to give my emu a little bit more advantage. If they are in the tall grass, or you can draw a line between the machine guns and the emus, then they can't be targeted. Machine guns fire, then the emus move. And the way the emus move, you just nominate 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to roll a d6 for the mob. And again, when it breaks up into multiple mobs, we'll roll d6 for each one. On a 1 through 4, they'll move 3.5 inches toward that table edge. On a 5, they're going to hold still. And on a 6, actually, let's do 5 you get to choose where they move, and on a 6, they just hold still. So 1 through 5, they move. 5, you get to pick. 6, they hold still. That's it. That's all there is to it. And then you see if you can eliminate more emu that then escape. Okay? Very easy. Let's see how hard it is for me to really mess this up. Each machine gun gets to fire, and we have a little bit of line of sight towards the mob. So this guy gets a 9, and this guy gets a 5. Then we move our emu. With a result of a 6, they're not going to move. They don't even notice the horrible marksmanship of our machine guns. So I'll always start with the guy on the left. There you go. He gets a hit, and we break this in half. So we now have 4 and 4. We have 2 mobs. The second machine gun is going to fire. He gets a 7. Nothing happens. So now I got to roll for this guy and this guy. And with a 2 and a 2, they're both going to move in this direction towards the, I guess we could call it the eastern table edge. And that's going to be 3.5 inches for each of these mobs. The game itself suggests a 4x6 table, and you move the emu 7 inches. Firing for this guy, we get an 11, and for this guy, we get the big box cars. Oh, I guess he was firing at the nearest, so we break this one in half. Now we have 3 mobs that have to move. I'm, of course, playing at half scale. So the first mob moves towards 4, the second one moved towards, so we're going to these guys are moving to the left, these guys to the right, and these guys are not going to go anywhere. So 3.5 inches looks like that. 3.5 inches looks like this. And the way you win is, well, we'll tally up the score later. I'm going to roll the white dice for this machine gun, and we can speed things up just a little bit. No doubles. I don't have to worry about that. So for this mob does not move. This mob is going to move wherever I want, and this one does not. And I want this mob to move in this direction. Then I roll for my machine guns. Again, white is on the right. Oh, that'll make it easy. So this time the white scores a hit here and breaks that mob in half. So I can roll for each. 1, 1. Oh, I suppose you'll be 1 and you'll be 4. There we go. Oh, Lord, they're coming. These 2 groups moved forward. I got to choose, so I brought this group back to the center of the table. The white group is going to fire here. The black machine gun here. Or I suppose I should say maximum. 3 and 3 means nothing doing. We're going to move 3, 2, 4, and 2. So after movement, the table looks a little something like this. I'm going to say that the emu block line of sight to other emu. We'll take the easy shot at this guy. Actually, we'll go cross here and here. And again, white is on the right. So the white scores a hit, and that's going to do 1 point of damage to these emu. As usual, the red trailing chip will indicate the wounds. So we got a 6, a 3, and a 1. That means on a 6, there's no motion for these 2. 1, 2, 3 means this guy's going to move straight back to here, and with the result of a 1, these guys are going to... Oh, what happens when they wind up standing right next to each other? I guess what we'll do is we'll keep them as separate flocks, a little something like that, and that means that our blue is trying to break up this group, and our black dice are breaking up the big mob, and the white dice are trying to put this one out of his misery for good. It doesn't matter because we don't get any hits. So we'll roll over here. We get a 2. Let me re-roll those. 5. The single gets a 2. And we get a 3 over there. So the 2s are to the right as you look at it. And I get to choose. So I'm going to keep this guy right in the center of the board. The white on the right is going to try to take out this single unit. We're going to try to put, with the black dice, a point on here. We get nothing. So we roll here. We roll here. We roll for these guys and these guys. Number 6 doesn't move. I like that. That gives me some options. 3 continues to move away. This big mess looks like it might just escape. And then 1 is going to charge tally-ho, charge of the Light Brigade style. And again, we're edging off to the right. This time we'll roll for black and white. No hits. No snake eyes yet, though, so I'll take it. We have a little bit less than a 1 in 6 chance of hitting any of these groups. So the one over here will hold still. This one is going to continue its run to the east, just zigzagging back and forth. And then over here, I get to choose. So first, I'll see where these guys wind up. And then I'm going to bring these guys closer to the center of the board. I want to keep them on side as long as possible. And the number 2 over here, again, is racing off. I'd like to be able to eliminate at least one of these. Historically, the Emu, so here and here, the white, both of them miss. The Emu could take a lot of punishment. It turns out that a 150-pound bird takes a lot of shots before putting it down. And they know they can't survive this surrender. It's not an option because they're far too tasty. So this wounded group, man, they are getting really close. Look at that. They're getting really close to the edge of the table. One more deuce, and they are going to be on the loose. We get a 1 heading up here, and oh, look at that crossfire. Our machine guns are going to have to start being really careful lest they do some kind of comical shooting at each other thing. The 3 is going to be to the south, so we'll move them first out of the way. And then the 2, again, is these guys, they just keep zigzagging. Now, part of that is that I keep rolling to choose, and I'm trying to keep them in the center of the table. So this time we're going to go with black dice, and then the white dice still have a line of sight. The black dice is going to get eliminated. No good. So we only get 1 shot for the rest of the game. That could cause some problems. And we just get that wound marker on. I'll roll for this guy. This guy, I don't think you can even see him anymore, can you? With a 5, our big mass. Let me roll. Let me move the 3 first. Oh, they're just going to trade places. So the 2, just to keep it simple, the 2 go down here, and these 2 go up there. So that's the same effective motion. Number 4 means, oh, good. Yeah, come back on the table. Can we eliminate 1 stand? And then again, the 4 over here is going to run away. Maybe they noticed that machine gun. Now, I only get to roll once, because I only have 1 machine gun. We're looking to get this guy right here. And with doubles, hey, we got 1. 1 stand is off the table. Put a notch on your belt there, fellas. But you still have 7 more to go. I think it's a long shot. I don't think it's going to go well. In fact, this stand, with the result of a 1, is going to get off the table. So we only have the big group and this smaller group right here. The big group is going to move to the... Then they're both going to move to the right. How about that? Which is unfortunate, because I would really like to target the smaller group to see if I can get another standoff. But because they're going to be over here, they're actually going to be in the shadow. They're going to be blocked out, which means I have to shoot at the big group. Maybe I can slow it down, but I can't. So the big group moves to the right. So this group moves to here, and this group is going to move in this direction. So miniature-wise, it's going to look a little something like that. Our heroic Australian defenders are going to take a shot here. With a 5, they get nothing. So we'll move this group, and this group will not move, but this group is going to move 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more. Get their full charge on. Taking a shot with a machine gun, no doubles, nothing doing. Now we try to move the lead group, and this group is going to make for the eastern table edge. The lead group is going to go, hey diddle diddle, right up the middle. And all they got to do is get like past him, and it's going to be over for them. No hits means result of a 1 would not be good. Oh, they're going to, all right, well, here's a 1. These guys will come up 1, 2, 3.5. And we'll point them in the right direction. We do have facing on these guys, and these guys are going to, oh, they're running screen. Look at that. They're trying to protect their buddies. So we have to take a shot at the big group, whether we like it or not, and that's going to end the game. The machine gun overheated. The barrel got too hot. Bear in mind that this is a bit of an abstraction. They're probably plinking away and doing little bits of damage and wounding some of these birds. But at the end of the day, 7 emu flocks survived. And so if we take a look at the score, it says ending the game. The game ends when all emus have escaped or been killed. Count up the number of stands escaped versus the number killed. All right, so we had 2 effectively versus 14. add both base counts together, or one or all the players may realize this is nonsense and retire, leaving the host of the Joy of Wargaming to question his choices in life. And then, as you can see, here's the list of playtesters. How delightful. I love this. What a great hobby that we have room for this kind of goofiness, and we can learn a little bit about the history of failed interventions and how big a mistake it is for governments to try to import new animals into parts of the world where they're really not suited and where they don't mix with the local fauna. We should learn a valuable lesson from this episode, but we won't, because, as Kipling said, the burnt fool's finger goes wobbling back to the emu. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. I'm praying for you.